This is your favorite daily college football podcast, Snaps. It is time to talk about the top 10 college football coaches whose nuts are on the chopping block. Whack. Danny, put like a little whoosh right there. And like maybe like a Wilhelm scream in there. That'd be so good. Aaron, I know you're not going to agree with my number one, but I bet you he's on your list. My number one is that sumbitch Neal Brown up there in Morgantown, West Virginia. I'm over him. You know how I feel about him, okay? My wife's family is all from Morgantown. They're West Virginia natives. They're good damn people. West Virginia is a state, and Morgantown's a city filled with damn good people, and they deserve better than what Neal Brown has given him. And maybe the craziest part about all of this, we're going to see a consistent theme here throughout this show. First off, do not trust pandemic results, good or bad. Show me the results around the pandemic, and I'll tell you how I feel about the coach. Secondly, I cannot get over how much odd connective tissue there is between Neal Brown and Ed Orgeron, right? Because Neal Brown, of course, is at Troy. He had 3 really good years at Troy, won 10 games. But what was his biggest win ever there? Beating LSU and Ed Orgeron. Why did he get that West Virginia job? Yes, it was the 10-win seasons, but a lot of it was beating LSU in Tiger Stadium, like a game that you just never ever see. LSU had like an insane out-of-conference win streak going at the time. But so he beats Edo there. He gets the job. And then the reason why I still think he's interested to be compared to O is because in 2019, O wins a national championship. He signs an extension. 2.5 years later, he's out. Or excuse me, 1.5 years later. 1.5 years later, he is out. How much did it cost after going perfect, best college football season ever? How much was his buyout? $17 million. West Virginia went from 5-6, I believe, to 6-4 in 2020. 6-4, and they gave Neal Brown an extension to the point where if you would have wanted to fire him a year and a half later, the same timeline as O, removed from a national championship, if you would have wanted to fire Neal Brown last year, it was going to cost you more than it cost to fire Ed Orgeron. Tell me how that makes any sense at all. He would fit, at the perfect season. Like, that is awful leadership from West Virginia athletic directors. They have no money to spend. It's why the AD got fired. They want to fire Neal Brown. They just can't. But I think this year is finally going to be the straw that broke the camel's back. The number will come down enough. Neal Brown, get the fuck up out of here, dude. You're already cut, okay? In my mind, I'm done. I'm absolutely done with Neal Brown in Morgantown.
Yeah, you hit all the points there. He's got to go. Losing seasons 3 of the past 4, and then, like T-Bob said, we will reiterate, like the COVID year does not count for a lot of people. That was just such a kooky year. You got to look past it. He's got to go. If it wasn't for the money, he'd be gone after last season. This is the year. It could be a 4 or 5 games of the season, slow start for West Virginia. He's the first coach out. I think he's the first coach that gets fired. I don't think he makes it to the rest of the season. So Neal Brown at 1. I'm with you on that one. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Good.
Hell yes. Snip him. All right. I guess I'll go 2. We'll see if we like the 2 one. I got Tom Allen at Indiana.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he is on my at 10. I have like kind of like unexciting coaches that are also definitely going to get fired, and Tom Allen's one of those names for sure.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Indiana is not a place where you feel like you can win consistently. So it's not like this is this incredible job that he's completely crapped the bed at, but he also hasn't had success since, he lost Penix. So 6-8 over the past 2 seasons. That's just not good enough to sustain, especially when your conference is going to be getting boatloads of money. When your conference is as good as it is, you got to play a little bit better than that. So I don't think Indiana's in a spot to have success this season. I think he'll make it through the year. I don't think we're talking about like a Neal Brown situation here right now, but another losing season for Indiana. You make it 3 in a row. I think he's on his way out after this year.
So the only thing about Tom Allen is he had the 2 good years, right? He went 8-5 in 19, but like you said, it was with Michael Penix and it was with Kalen DeBoer, right?
Yeah.
And then in 2020, you were really good in the pandemic, but again, that kind of we're going to see more and more. It does not matter. But then 2-10 and 4-8. And now the thing is, though, after the 2 good years, they did sign him to a 7-year extension, where if he gets fired, he is guaranteed the rest of his contract. So that will be something to watch, but maybe that's why it's an after season decision. But either way, yeah, I feel it very hard to feel like they're just going to take Tom Allen if his record is that bad once again. Okay, so I'm fine with it being number 2. And again, I'm not super married to my orders. Like we can workshop that, but number 2 on my list is Butch Jones, if you will. As you know how I feel about Butch Jones. I think he pulled the biggest hoe move of all time when he went crawling back to the Alabama halfway house. And not to say that just taking the job at Alabama is bad. I get that. We would all do the same thing. But smoking the cigars in the Tennessee locker room is just one of those karmic moments where the gods do not forget and the gods do not forgive. And Butch Jones, you're a loser. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. I have the scene pictured in my head. And by the way, what he's done since I can't wait to see who's going to fall into the, hey, let's make Butch Jones our head coach trap next. Because at Arkansas State in 2 years, he's gone 2-10 and 3-9. And the visual that I love, Aaron, what I keep thinking about is like a drug addict who has relapsed. He shows back up at the Alabama halfway house, hat in hand, and Saban's kind of like, God damn it, Butch. I was hoping never to see you here again. And he's like, oh, I know. I'm sorry, sir. I just need some help. You know, Saban kind of grimaces, kind of sighs. It's like, all right, man. Well, you know what? You're always welcome here. Now, go wash the car and get the lake house ready for Miss Terry. Because that's what Butch Jones is going to be doing here in another year. He's going to be back in the halfway house, back waiting hand on foot on his little king, little Nicky. So get the hell out of here, Butch Jones.
I'll take that at 3. I had Dino at 3, but I can move Dino to 4. That's fine with me. I'd Butch up there too. I like Dino at 4. I'll give you the reasons why. He's the offensive guy. You know, he was brought in there to run this unique offense, up tempo, spread you out, score a bunch of points. They haven't finished higher than 7th in the ACC in the past 4 years in scoring offense. He's 36 and 49 overall, 19 and 39, I believe, in conference play. Just not good enough. Like, you brought the excitement. You had a good start to the year last year, going 6-0. You finished the season off 1-6. They've been wanting him out. The offense has been stagnant. It's once again, there's not an easy place to win. I get that. They have not had a lot of success since joining the conference, but they still have a lot of pride. I mean, I know a lot of people there. It's more my hometown. It's got a lot of family up there, and it's been for 2 years now, nonstop bitching, moaning on our family group message that Dino needs to go. He's just not getting it done. I think he's one of the guys too that, you know, Butch, these guys that are still, you know, 2-3 years into a contract that maybe they get through this year, you know, whether it's mediocre or not. I think Dino needs a massive year if he wants to keep his job. I don't see it happening. I think they're a 6-6, 7-5 team once again. I think that is the final straw for Syracuse to final move on from Dino Babers.
So what you're telling me is that Dino may be on the brink of being extinct.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No more Dino.
Well, a little.
You like that 4? You go with Dino at 4?
College football meteor about to hit him. Yeah, I'm definitely cool with Dino at 4. I had him. So I feel like my top 5 are guys that I know are probably going to be fired. Our top 5 that we're putting here together right now. We got Neal Brown, we got Butch Jones, we have Tom Allen, Dino Babers, and I think Pat Fitzgerald, man. It sounds crazy.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, Pat Fitzgerald, and he's been there forever. And so maybe it's one of those lifelong jobs. They just let him keep going. But when it has gotten so bad. And it's weird because, again, he is one of the COVID outliers, right? You see in that age of insanity, some people just handled it better than others, but it hasn't been a great indicator of who can succeed when things got back to normal. Because while in 2020, Northwestern was very good, and I think they ended up maybe playing for like a share of the Big Ten title, even though they lost it or whatever. But if you look at 19, 21, and 22, you're talking about a combined 7-29 record. You're talking about beating Nebraska on the Irish stage last year, getting everybody fired up, only then to lose out afterwards. So it sucks, but yeah, I think Pat Fitzgerald is. I think he is on the for sure chopping block here.
Yep. So I had him 6. And I had Justin Wilcox at 5. Is Wilcox on your list at all?
Well, okay. So after 5, I kind of transition into a bit more of these are guys who are under immense pressure because, like,
Yes,
yeah,
I'm with
there's
you.
Wilcox, there's
I had six. I
Hapley.
had six guys that I thought were really good chance of getting fired this year than my next four. So I think
Okay, I'm down for that. Okay,
Wilcox
so
was in
Justin
my
Wilcox,
list
yeah.
of like getting fired. My next one, my list after that was more of these guys. I mean, if they have a losing season, could get canned, but probably are just going to be on an extreme hot seat heading into the following season. So um, we'll keep Wilcox at 6, Cal coach.
Yeah, so Justin Wilcox
Yes.
at 6. I mean, Cal's just now it's tough because
Yeah.
like, and with a lot of these schools, it's kind of like it's tough because what are their expectations? But their expectations are still better than what they've
Yeah.
had. Never forget, there was a time out there when you could have crafted, if you looked on NFL rosters, the best fantasy team you could have made would have been all Cal football players, right? You had
Mm-hmm.
had Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, you had had Marshawn Lynch and Justin Forsett as your running backs, you had Deshaun Jackson as one of your wide receivers. Like they had some years there.
Yeah.
And I would also throw like, look, I don't want to put him on the list, but like certainly like Jeff Hafley from Boston College, somebody we talked about the other day, he's probably gone. Danny Gonzalez, New Mexico is a name that you constantly see popping up on this list. So there are other names out there, but now let's get into maybe what you could call relative hot seats.
Yep.
Guys who maybe aren't being fired, but are trending that direction. And by far the one who is close to just being on any hot seat to me, it has to be Mel Tucker. It was an now, but it is, relatively recent. He had the massive pandemic year where everything
I'm
went
gonna say the
right.
contract though. Is he that hot with the contract? I mean, they
Well,
gave him
but
a
but
massive contract.
yeah, but Michigan State fans like Michigan State is football. I mean, I guess I guess
I
that's not
know,
true. They have
but
I guess
that's what
people
kept
think of
it
them
off.
as
I
Tom
agree
Izzo
he's
in
on the hot seat,
basketball.
but he's they're paying him so much money. I don't know the exact number of what the buyout is. I don't think they can get rid of him. I think they're at a point right now where one, it's still early on in his contract, and two, it's a pretty hefty buyout for him to go bye-bye. I agree. Like if the money wasn't an issue, hell yeah, if they had another average season, which it kind of looks like you just lost
Ooh,
your receiver, your
actually,
top
Aaron,
receiver to Florida State, you just lost your quarterback to Auburn. What's the buyout?
it ain't shit.
It ain't. Okay.
This is
What are we
interesting
talking?
because he is getting 9.5 million a year. Hello there, fellow homeowner. I've got some very exciting news for you. Okay, Angie's List is now just Angie, but it's still your home for everything home. Look, I've been in my house for about 5 years now, and I absolutely love it. I don't want to go anywhere, but it's an older house stuff. So I had to get like the siding redone, I had to get the stucco redone, and although I may look like the epitome of a handy man, it may shock you, dear viewer, but I am indeed not handy. In fact, I don't know what the heck's going on with any of this stuff. So you know what I do? I get out my Angie app, and in just a few simple tippity taps, I have access to over 220,000 professionals from which to choose. What I love is, look, I live in Baton Rouge, right? And so it's all locally based. And I can actually look at the reviews of what other people in my area, who they've used. And so what I do, I got on my Angie app, I got my jobs lined up. I don't lift a finger, and the siding looks incredible, y'all. I basically live in my backyard now, and that's thanks to Angie. So, what are you waiting for? Download the Angie app today, ANGI, or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com. Angie, your home for everything home. I don't want to comment publicly on the buyout quite yet because this article feels like it's telling me like two different stories that it might not be that expensive, but then there's also a line that maybe says it is. Either way, the overall point is that Michigan State loves football. They're crazy about football. Go look at the facilities. They were, just a little while ago, they were the cream of the crop in the Big Ten, and now they've fallen on completely hard times. And there's no worse feeling in college football, like literally no worse feeling than feeling like you backed the wrong horse. And if you're a Michigan State fan, how could you not feel like that right now, where he used the outlier pandemic year in which he was ahead of curve to jump up, but now you've fallen completely back down. He doesn't have any other good years on the resume to point back on and say, okay, well, look, he can do this. It doesn't seem like his players like him all or want to play for him. He's got a starting quarterback transferring. Keon Coleman's now going to FSU, which you were trying to fuck with me about, because obviously Seminoles getting stronger now ahead of the game with LSU to start the year. So like, no, it's like we said the other day, big trouble in East Lansing. And I guess you might be right about the contract. I'll do my homework here and learn the exact details of it. But ultimately, that feeling of feeling like you threw your lot in, like you committed to the wrong guy, it's such a toxic feeling. And it breeds so much ill will that you could talk yourself into logical insanity. Something Dan Carlin talks about in the Hardcore History podcast, logical insanity, looking at World War II. Like, how do you get to the point where dropping nukes in your mind feels like a humane option? Well, in the same way, you can fucking talk yourself into paying $80 million to get rid of this guy that you hate. Just look at Texas A&M, who I'm sure we'll be talking about here soon. Yep. So I have Mel Tucker on this list, Aaron. Who do you have?
So I would have had him where you put him right there if I felt comfortable with where the buyout is. So we'll just say that it's Michigan State fans are passionate enough that they don't really care what it is, that they would make it happen. Then I'd put him right there too. I do think that he is on the extreme hot seat right now. So we'll keep Mel at 7. 8 is one I know you're not going to like. You and I have debated this a couple times of just where we think he is in his career and who he is as a coach. But I do think Billy Napier is in a pretty hot spot right now. We just talked about Florida State. They just got another big transfer. They got the receiver from Michigan State. They look like they're going to be one of the top 2 teams in the ACC. Them and Clemson are kind of the 2 battling out for probably winning that conference. Georgia's the best team in America, looking to three-peat. You lose both those games. Both those teams are some of the top teams in the country. And I think Florida is going to be an average team once again. I think Florida's a 5-7, 6-6 team at best. You do that back-to-back seasons as your biggest rivals are thriving. I think that puts and you weren't a Power 5 guy to begin with. I think there's going to be a lot of disgruntled Florida fans out there saying, I don't know if we should have taken him 2 years ago. Was he ready to move from the Group of 5 to the Power 5? And we're sick of seeing Georgia have the success, possibly 3 straight national championships, and Florida State doing what they're doing right now. So once again, I don't think that they're good enough this year to have the success to get them off the hot seat. I don't think Florida's going to necessarily get rid of them after year 2, but I think that seat's going to be extra, extra hot after, once again, a 6-6 season.
So the only thing, because I think you're right about like what the record's going to be, right? I will say, though, that Andy Staples piece opened my eyes to a lot of things, right? Which is, I don't think I quite appreciated how drastically Florida was behind in terms of facilities, investment, right? They just kind of thought that they could just be Florida and just go win because it's what they had done. Like you said, the culture was established under Spurrier, and Urban Meyer was able to continue that. We don't need all these great resources to still win national championships. And so I think it gave him a false sense of confidence. So they're so drastically behind there. He's attempted such a roster makeover. And judging from the language of the AD, I feel like he's at least guaranteed 3 years. Like I know it's going to be tough, but I feel like I absolutely year 3, Billy Napier, nuts on the chopping block. So he could definitely be one of these guys that falls into like the relative hot seat, but I think he gets a 3rd year, though. Certainly they have to at least finish stronger.
They have to go to a bowl game. Season. I think they go 5-7.
They need to go to a bowl game.
Yeah. They have to go to a bowl game at least.
But I do think they want to give Napier maybe a little time to work with these new facilities and everything and see what he can do. Okay. Here's
9, 10.
one. So what do we got? 9 and 10. We only have 2 spots left.
2 spots left.
Shit. I have so many coaches that are on my nut chopping block. Okay. This help me out here. Who do we put on next? You know who I want on this list, but he probably doesn't rise above 10. No, but yes. I want Ryan Day on here. I want him at 10.
I agree with this. I agree for this. I've said for him leaving, not necessarily getting fired, but him going bye-bye. Is that where you're at?
Okay, well, that's not where I'm at. I just mean in terms of again, like pressure, like investor confidence, right? Ryan Day is not getting fired. He's fucking incredible. Look at the record, look at the offense, blah, 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 blah. But one thing Ohio State fans are not in the business of doing, at least here in the modern era, is losing to Michigan. I mean, Aaron, if you look back, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. They were 15-1 previous to these last 2 years. 15-1 against Michigan. Nothing, we talk about breeding toxicity. Nothing makes a fan base more angry than losing the people that you hate the most. Okay. Yep. And that's why Michigan fans are ready to run Harbaugh out of town. All of a sudden now, 2 years, if you lose 3 years in a row, and you again have all the NFL talent in the world, and you again don't win the Big Ten, and you again fall short of a national championship, even though everybody gives you the benefit of the doubt and puts you in the playoffs, people are going to be furious. Again, not going to be fired, but it'll become real bad feeling up there in Buckeye country. So I want a big relative chopping block for Ryan Day. Like we're not going to cut his nuts off, but maybe he's going to get a vasectomy, Maybe he's not going to be able to have kids anymore. Ryan Day needs to be at number 10. If you don't want it, that's fine. We don't have to put him on the list, but I had to say my piece.
All right. So I have 3 that I think can go in these last 2 spots. So you tell me if you're more passionate about these 3. I got Jimbo, I got Steve Sarkisian, I got Eli Drinkwitz. Because I'm viewing this as like guys that could possibly get fired the next year or two. I don't think Ryan Day's going to get fired anytime soon.
I can't work out the passion. No, I agree. Ryan Day's not going to get fired. 100%. 100%. So whatever.
I just can't put him on the list for that.
We don't have so we don't have to put him on the list, but I'm glad I got to say my piece. I can't get there I just don't give a shit about firing Drinkwitz. I don't know. Maybe he's on the hot seat, but they were actually kind of good last year. Like they got to fix the offense. And what do you mean? They should have been at least 7-6. Like the Auburn game is one of those few games where you can truly say this is what you should have been. And then they could have beaten Georgia as well. So, I mean, I know everybody can play this game, but you are as close to an 8-5 record last year as I could possibly imagine. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm quite there with Drink, even though I see his name popping up.
Are you with Jimbo or Steve? Jimbo or Sarkisian?
I'm definitely with Jimbo at 9 because A&M is mad enough and angry enough. Well, they'll pay $75 million to buy him out. Which is what the buyout has said. I talked to a bunch of A&M fans at a wedding recently, and they were pissed that A&M actually beat LSU because they felt like it gave Jimbo more lifeblood than they actually wanted him to have. Like they were ready to pay $85 million to buy him out. It still seems insane to me, but Texas A&M needs to be the 3rd best team in the West next year.
Yep, I agree. All right, so that's 9 is Jimbo. I got 10 at Sark.
Talk to me, baby. Feed me.
Talk to me. Okay, I just want to make sure that you're good with that.
Well, but there is one other guy on here that I think is even worse than Sark.
Who's that? I'll tell you. Yeah, your name.
Cristobal.
No, he's still earlier in his career. I don't think he's. I think if Texas craps the bet, I'll play the scenario. If both teams are 7-5 next year, which coach gets fired?
Sark would probably. Okay, that's a fair point. Sark would get fired before.
Sark would get fired
because Mario Cristobal in an excellent. Like this is how you fail upwards. He set the bar so low in year number 1 that 7-5 would be a 2-game increase. It's actually right out of the Steve Sarkisian playbook.
Yeah.
Okay.
For that point alone, I think Sark is more in the hot seat than. I don't think either get fired this year.
Justin Wilcox off this list and put Cristobal on.
No, I know you just want to put Cristobal on. Cristobal is not on the hot seat just because you hate him.
Well, I have no personal feelings towards Cristobal. There's no excuse. You can't be that much more talented than your teammates and have a good quarter. It's not like he didn't have a quarterback. He had the fucking returning ACC offensive player of the year. He made a borderline. He made an all-conference borderline All-American quarterback. Shit. And lost to Middle Tennessee and went 5-7. And all the while, from a pure recruiting standpoint, having more talent than the majority of his opponents. You're telling me you wouldn't rather shit on that than Jeff Wilcox? Like Jeff Wilcox is a Cal. Justin Wilcox, whatever.
I'm going by guys that I legitimately feel like could get fired after the season. I do not think Cristobal is going to get fired after this year. I think Wilcox, if they have another bad year at Cal, could get fired.
His nuts are still on the chopping block. At the end of the day, this is an entertainment show. We need people that are going to get headlines on here. I want to use my one, each time we kind of get one put our foot down moment. I want Wilcox off the list. I want, I would
say this is the list. 8. So let me do the list for you. Okay, here we go. Neal Brown at 1, Tom Allen at 2, Butch Jones at 3, Dino Babers at 4, Pat Fitzgerald at 5, Mel Tucker at 6, Billy Napier at 7, Jimbo Fisher at 8, Steve Sarkisian at 9, and
Mario Cristobal out of 10.
Mario Cristobal out of 10.
Okay. I love it. I'm about it.
Okay.
But do you think, so you think, and now Sark is 1 year further in, you think Sark is at risk of actually getting fired here?
The risk of, once again, if they're 7-5, yes. Like, it has to be a bad season. And I think that's the teetering. Like, if you're at a part of your career where you have a bad season, is the fan base willing to overlook that season and say, we'll give you another year? Or would that be the essentially the end of your career at that university? And I do think if Texas would have a bad year this year, a 7-5 year, maybe even possibly an 8-4 season, I do think that seat would get hot enough where they're like, okay, we've given you 3 years. You got the roster, and in year 3, you're 7-5. That ain't gonna cut it heading into the SEC. We got to find someone else.
Which year 2 guy has more pressure, Cristobal or Brent Venables?
Because Oklahoma's been better.
Yeah.
They're used to winning. Yes.
Well, shit. Do we put Venables instead of Cristobal on there then? I mean, heading into the SEC, like if nothing else, Mario Cristobal is going to have the very friendly confines of the ACC to work in.
I struggle with that because I have more confidence that Oklahoma can have a better season than Miami.
Fair.
That's why.
That's a good separating factor. All right. Then just rubber stamp the list. Boom. We're done. Boom. That is in honor of Snaps officially becoming Snips. That is your top 10 college football coaches most likely to have their nuts on the chopping block come this fall. Huge thank you to everyone for joining us here live on AMP. If you're watching on YouTube, heck yeah, we'll be back with our regularly scheduled live YouTube programming next week. Wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, please share with your friends, y'all. Rate and review it if you enjoy the show, obviously, right? Because that really helps us grow it and everything. I do want to give a very special thank you to James Castronuovo for holding it down on the production team this week, making it happen with Brum out. Huge thank you to Danny Cardenas, Paul Farrington, Pat Gunner, Adam Gracia, as always. A huge thank you to you, Aaron Murray. Weekend plans? What do you got going on?
The wife is going to New York for a girls' trip, so I'm off to the lake with the little ones and the pups so I can get some support from Grandma and Grandpa. Smart. So yeah, good luck there tomorrow. I'll be praying for you. Please keep us posted.
Well, I'll be praying for you.
T-Bob's nuts tonight.
I'll be praying for you as I watch the LSU Tigers just crush your Georgia Bulldogs in Athens this weekend. Paul Skeens, you've never seen someone throw the ball like Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens is about to ram his 100-mile-an-hour fastball up your ass.
Too bad you guys are a one-hit wonder and you got one pitcher. Then after that, Georgia will still win.
But we got one, Bo. We got one though. You ain't even got one. What does that make you? A no-hit wonder? Right. Good. It's like my old man, when somebody would call him a has-been, he said, hi, that's better than a never was. Okay. that's Georgia right now. I can't wait. I'm actually a little scared because Georgia's actually, do you realize how good y'all have been in Athens? Y'all took 2 or 3 off of Kentucky, you took 2 or 3 off of Tennessee. You swept Arkansas, which is the height of absurdity. So we're going to see. We're going to find out. All I know is I'm be snipped up and locked in for the series this weekend. Let's fucking go, dude. Fuck Georgia.